I have finished a banned book, which is part of one of my reading challenges for fall. And this one is one that I've tried to start before and couldn't quite get through, but I did finish it this time. It is Catch-22, which this is a really, really beat-up copy that I'm probably going to have to throw away after this because it's falling apart. Catch-22 is a book that is anti-war. It's anti-Vietnam, but it's set in World War II. And it centers around this pilot named, well, actually he's a bomber, named Yossarian. He is trying desperately to not be sent on more bombing missions. And that is because the initial number of bombing missions was 35. Their commanding officer, Colonel Cathcart, keeps, or Major, I can't remember if he's Major or Colonel, he keeps upping the missions every time because he's trying to get the attention of the higher ups so that he gets commended and made a higher rank. And of course, he's never going to. The book makes that clear that he is not liked by the higher ups anyway. So all this is in vain. He keeps upping it. By the end of the book, the missions are up to 65. They've gone from 35 to 65. Part of the problem that Yossarian has is the fact that he had been on a mission that he went back to, actually, he was trying to do it right that time. He actually went back, tried to bomb the place correctly, and in the process they got hit, and one of the people in the plane was killed. And you find out towards the end of the book it was pretty traumatic how that happened. Now, this book, that all being said, sounds like it is some sort of deadly serious type of thing. It's not. This is a black satire. This is a completely black comedy, about as dark as you can get, when it is talking about all these people getting killed and all sorts of different things. This book was originally I don't know if it was actually banned. It was challenged in high school districts. Mainly from what I saw in the one it was challenged over, that went to the either state court or Supreme Court. It was challenged over the treatment of women in it, how the women were portrayed in it. I really didn't have that much of a problem with that. Yes, it was very, very not very flattering, and it was very, very crude, a lot of it. But that being said, these were military people, and the whole setting, that all sort of made sense. And he was writing kind of a crude style of these guys, and different to make more of a point. One of the things is the writing with this book. I know there's been 2 movies of this made, and I have no idea how, because I don't understand how a movie of this would work, because one of the main things is Heller's writing style. Joseph Heller writes in this sort of circular, kind of bouncing back and forth, that it's almost an oxymoronic way that he writes, where he contradicts himself. Like, he's talking about, he talks about the men went mad and were rewarded with medals. All over the world, boys on every side of the bomb line were laying down their lives for what they had been told was their country, and no one seemed to mind, least of all the boys who were laying down their young lives. It bounces back and forth, and even his way that he tells the book is very out of order. It starts with Yossarian in the hospital, where he's already trying to avoid going on any more of these missions, and it kind of bounces to introduce all these characters. Then it bounces back to the situation where he had the person in the plane get killed. Then it kind of bounces forward to more people getting killed, and this whole, it's all very, very out of order. And that is all trying to make a point of this thing called Catch-22, which is what the whole book is about, and the whole book is making a point of the Catch-22, because Yossarian keeps trying to get himself declared insane, and the doctor keeps saying that if you know you're insane, you're not insane, And if you are insane, you won't know, and you'll keep continuing to do the missions. And that is the whole basis of the Catch-22, is that as much as you declare that you are insane, if you know that you are, you're not. And then at another point in time, he's like, I literally am declared insane. And the doctor was like, yeah, only a crazy person would go on these missions. So, there you go. Who else is going to do it? The whole idea is this very, very convoluted sort of thing with the military, and it is talking about Vietnam. I understand some people were upset because it was talking about World War II, and Heller himself has said that he didn't have bad experience with higher ups in World War II. That was not the issue. World War II is not really what he's making a point of. It's Vietnam he's making a point of by using the setting of World War II. So there's a character who keeps trying to make like business deals with everything, and he like steals all the parachutes because he's traded them for all this stuff, and he's trying to make bank on the whole thing. So it's anti-capitalism. The whole thing is it's bleak. It is funny, but it is bleak in how it is presenting the war, how it presents the military, how it presents how military just don't care about anyone. There's this kind of underlying running theme of this one really unpleasant character he's trying to get pushed through because he doesn't like writing all these letters to the family members of the wounded and killed people. He keeps referring to the fact that he wants a form letter, and eventually that gets to the Major General, the Cathcart, who is like, yeah, that's a great idea. So all these form letters start going out that we're so sorry your husband, son, uncle, nephew, blah blah blah, has been wounded, killed, missing, and it's this weird form letter that they start doing, and it's just kind of case in point of what is going on with the war. So Catch-22, it's one of these things that, is it a good book? Yes, it's very well written. It's very, as much as I didn't really like the content, I just kept reading it. It's one of those that I don't feel like I had to DNF because it was, I just can't stand this sort of a thing. It was good in and of itself. Now, is it one that I got a lot of in pleasure out of reading? No, not really, because if you're really looking at it's frustrating as you read on. You get very frustrated. You're even frustrated with the characters, because even a lot of the characters, there's not really any that are very likable outside of maybe the chaplain, who keeps trying to figure out how to get these missions stopped, but he can't up until the very end sort of figure out what to do. And he's bullied by people, and there's Major, who is he tries to avoid everybody because the soldiers bully him. He's kind of sympathetic too, but everybody else is just pretty unlikable, but also stuck in this really weird situation in the war, and just it's all these circular events that keep happening and counteracting each other, and that is where the comedy comes from, and that is where I cannot fathom how you would make a movie that is any sort of interesting, because that to me does not make a bit of sense in how you would make a movie, because it's all the writing that makes these circular things kind of work. So I don't know. I know there was an older one that had like John Voight in it and stuff like that, and I know there is a newer one that George Clooney produced, but I just don't see how you could make this and make it be interesting, just because the interesting is the part of the really frustrating circular logic that keeps happening, and I don't see how there's a way to put that on film and make that make sense. But this was my banned book for September and banned book week, and my fall reading challenge. I have a tag I need to do at some point in here that I will get around to, and I've finished another book, so this one is just the one that kind of got in here. But it's an interesting book. Again, I don't know if I'd I don't know if I'd recommend it outside of saying that, yeah, it's really well written. Just because it is a black comedy, and it is... I don't even think I'd have issue with putting it into the, like, putting it in a high school library. I don't think I would, just because the kids wouldn't get it. This is not something they would understand. Maybe back in the day when it was popular, and during that time it made a little more sense, but I don't think they would even understand the situation that's going on. It's not really relative to them. So when it comes to, oh no, this one's been banned from a high school library, to me that's neither here nor there to me, because I don't think I'd put it in there anyway, just because it would not interest anyone whatsoever. So that is my experiences with Catch-22, and kind of my ambivalence but not ambivalence about it and the content.